So many years ago, actually decades at this point, when I was writing my first book, God Whispers, a good deal of it was written in the cafe of the bookstore Borders. Do you remember Borders? We would write Thursday mornings. My friends, Steve and David, this is the time before texting and cell phone, and one of them would call early in the morning saying, hey, you going to show up? You going to come? That accountability made sure that each of us showed up one for the other. We didn't talk much. We didn't read each other's work. We didn't share. We just sat there and wrote. Every now and then I would get bored with my own thoughts or distracted, or I didn't exactly know what to say, so I'd get up and I would look in the stacks. And the stacks that were right next to the cafe were business books. And anyone who knows me knows I love business books, books about management and leadership. And I was wandering one day in the stacks, and I came upon a book, small gray book, still on my shelf. And in big, bold letters, it says, Selling the Invisible. And I said, that's what I do. I sell the invisible. I immediately bought the book. It is a great book, but from then on, I actually knew what my job description was. As I would go sometimes on airplanes, sometimes late at night in the hotel bars, and people would say, as business warriors tend to do, hey, so what do you do? It was never a good idea to say Rabbi. That always led to a bad conversation somehow. So sometimes I would say, well, I'm a writer, but most of the time I would say, I'm in sales. So here we are, the beginning of my last year here at BJBE. And so I'm going to give you, as they do in sales, my final and best offer. I'll sell you the invisible 3 more times. Today, the sermon on Yom Kippur, and then the last sermon as we say goodbye, perhaps in May. My best and final offer to you, or as my friend Arna said, my best and final offering. And some of these stories you will have heard before, and all the themes you have definitely heard before. Because what I want to try to sell you now is what I truly believe, the framework for my very life, from when I was a little girl, and the bima that you have allowed me to inhabit. So this afternoon, I'm going to start with a text that is a very powerful text that we know actually only from funerals, the 23rd Psalm. But this text is not really about death. This text is about hope and life and faith. It is the text that teaches us what holds us, what enfolds us, what transforms us. And for this morning, this afternoon, it's my best offering. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Because when I do not take myself that seriously, when I take myself out of the center of my universe, I realize that I am being guided by some great mystical force. A life filled with faith and with meaning is a life grounded in purpose. You have heard me say this over and over and over again, and when I realize that I am just a small piece in a greater scheme, then I shall not want. I lack nothing. I may lack a cup of coffee in a particular morning, or can't find a pair of shoes to buy, or maybe I even think I lack a couple of friendships. But when I put myself aside and God in the center, I can therefore say, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. because the world around me is beautiful. Fields and fields, vistas of possibility. And by the still waters, because despite the difficulty, and God knows there is difficulty, in spite the tragedy, in spite the brokenness, in spite my fears, I can hold the paradox of those fears equally while holding the beauty of this world. The world is filled with silent and quiet and beautiful streams and beautiful pastures and endless possibilities. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of darkness, because we do. We can't ignore it. If you are a person of faith, you must acknowledge that we do sometimes sit in a valley of darkness, and as we sit in this valley of darkness, we kind of sit by the waters and cross our legs and contemplate. There is no way but to get straight through it, no way around it. And in this valley of darkness, I will fear no evil, for dear God, you are with me. I am not alone. I am not alone in my despair. You join me. I am not alone in my brokenness. You are with me. I am not alone in my inadequacies. So are you inadequate. I am not alone in my self-doubt. You too sit in the valley of the shadows. We sit together, but we shall fear no evil, for God is with us. The rod and the staff, they comfort us. They guide us. They prod us. They have us move along in this world. I set a table before my enemies. My cup runneth over. It is not half full. It is not half empty. The cup of Judaism overflows with goodness, because that's absolutely the truth. We overflow with goodness. And surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Listen to what is pursuing us. What is not pursuing us is evil. What is not pursuing us is a sense of death. What is pursuing us is goodness and mercy all the days of our life. Every single day, when the pasture is green or when the valley is dark, we have goodness and mercy all around us. And that goodness was given to us from the very beginning of time. The scripture that I always refer back to because it is a guiding principle in my life. The scripture that I refer back to, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And there was darkness. Because even back in the beginning of days, there was darkness. And there was depth. And there was water. And the Spirit of God hovered upon the deep. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And the rabbis ask, what is the source of that light? Because the sun and the moon isn't created until days later. And the rabbis answer, that light is the light of righteousness in this world. That is the truth of who you are. From the very beginning of time, my last and final offer to you is to tell you the truth of who you are. You have a great light inside of you. And with that great light inside of you, you have a responsibility to nurture it, to love it, and to see the light in one another, to believe in who you are, to believe in that light. And then God saw the light, and God said the light was good, because goodness and mercy shall follow you all the days of your life. That is what is pursuing you. We all stand in the light of goodness. You stand in the light of goodness with all that self-doubt, all the fear, all the darkness. Deep, deep inside of you is a great and beautiful light. I have been here for 2 decades. I see it inside of you. And I like to think that every now and then you see it inside of me. And so, what's it mean to sell the invisible? It means that we hold one another up in a sense of faith. It means that when we are a faith community, we will lack nothing. It means even when there is darkness around, there is also green pastures and beauty. And even though when we are lost, there is a person next to us that will be found. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. God is with me. And we live in the truth of a great and magnificent light. Today I'm a bit sad. But I've learned something important. When it is all over, there is great meaning. Sometimes I feel alone in all this madness. I don't know where time is gone. But when it's all over, there's a reason for it all.
להתחיל הכל מההתחלה, כמו לנשום בפעם הראשונה. אני כאן, אני לא מתבזבז יותר. ואם יכולתי רק לזכור,
I'm trying to remember every detail.
לכל אחד יש את הדרך לעבור.
We all have a path to
אבל
walk.
בסוף שזה נגמר,
But when it's all over,
יש תשובה לכל דבר.
there's a reason and a purpose.
אור גדול מאיר הכל, ויותר כבר לא צריך לשאול. אני בא ללמוד ממה שטוב ולחיות. להתחיל הכל מההתחלה, כמו לנשום בפעם הראשונה. אני כאן, אני לא מתבזבז. אני כאן, אני לא מתבזבז.
There is a great light that illuminates the world, that illuminates our souls. It is the light of mystery. It is the light of goodness. It is the light of kindness. It's the light that is within all of us. Our time is ending, and I have learned so much from you, so much wisdom in it all. And so now I begin again. You will begin again. Every breath anew, I am present and rise to meet my destiny. We all rise to meet our destiny. Rise, for there is a great light that shines from within.
אור גדול מאיר הכל, ויותר כבר לא צריך לשאול. אני בא ללמוד ממה שטוב ולחיות. ואהבתי טוב ולחיות, להתחיל הכל מההתחלה, כמו לנשום בפעם הראשונה, אני כאן, אני לא מתבזבז. יותר.
Last and best offer.